Thanks so much for joining us for Cosmic Conversations. This is the MeWe Fairs event. We're excited to bring this to you. Today is June 20, and we have our guest, Jenny Capella, today. Kai,
June
Crystal, and I.
14th.
June 14th. Oh, I'm so mixed up. It's June 14th. I'm jumping ahead to another time. Thank you. It is Sunday, June 14th. And so we're here all together. I wonder what's going on the 20th, and why I'm thinking about the 20th already. And I'm time traveling today. So thank you so much for joining us for our conversation event. We're going to be here talking about all kinds of things, and we want you participating in the conversation. We do these about once a month, and we're excited to doing it again. So we're going to go through and introduce ourselves. Okay, probably is going to go first, and then Crystal, and then Jenny, and then me, and then we will be jumping into the conversation with you. All right.
Well, that's one way to start.
All
So,
right.
hey,
Who wants to
everybody, I'm
jump in?
Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna. I'm a mentor, author, speaker. I've been involved in metaphysics and paranormal from pretty much day one, according to my mom. And I am really thrilled to be doing Cosmic Conversations so that we can actually have conversations about all this weird stuff and not have everybody, judge us or wonder what we're talking about or whatever. And so this is a place where you can talk about anything, like this weird thing happened, or what is that, or explain that, or how do you see that? Because, our world is based on our perceptions. And so it's always nice to hear how other people view things because that teaches me things. So that's one of the things that I like about Cosmic Conversations is that we can have those conversations and, you don't always have to agree, but it's nice to get different points of view so that we can expand who we are and our awareness. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys decided to spend the time with us and I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
Thanks so much, Kai. I'm going to put Kai's information along with everyone else's information in the chat in just a bit. Crystal.
It's already been fun. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic, conscious channel. I do energy work. I've been doing this for over 40 years. And essentially, the way stuff happens for me is I just know stuff. I look at somebody and I know stuff. I'm walking down the street and some random stuff pops into my head. It just comes from source, and then whoever is the agent for source in that particular instance, whenever I'm working with someone. So it's never dull. Part of the reason I'm excited that we're doing cosmic conversations is because one size does not fit all. If you look at least the four of us that are here, we all four have different backgrounds, different modalities and practices, different ways of looking at things. We often get to the same answer, but we come at it from much different perspectives and experience. So that's always kind of fun to see how everybody else does it besides how you do things. And this is a great place for you to explore your own experiences, your own abilities, ask questions about it. You heard something, you want to get our opinion on it. And pretty much anything is open for conversation. So that's what we're here for. And we hope that you participate with us because that just adds more to the conversation, which is why we are doing this, so that you can interact with us and we can interact with you. So we're going to get started, and thank you, and off we go.
Great. Thanks so much, Crystal. And then our guest today is Jenny.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to see several of you that I have worked with multiple times in various capacities. So thank you for all of you that are here today. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. So I'm Jenny Capella, and I'm an intuitive crisis and life transition coach. And that can include things like people who are going through a career transition, relationship transitions where they're thinking to themselves, the person I was 20 years ago when I met this person, I've been through 5 different iterations of myself. And how am I going to walk forward with that person when they're still, maybe feeling like they are, quote, behind, with those kinds of things that can get really upsetting and kind of concerning for people. And then also, I'm an ET whisperer. And what I mean by that is that I am able to talk to different races, if you will. And it's not something I can't sit here and tell you the 20 different races that are out there, but they come and they talk to me and they tell me who they are when they show up. I've been able to help people bring through their own knowledge, their own wisdom in those areas through some of their own connections. To like, one of my favorite things to do is to help other people by interviewing them and talking to whoever their ETs are that are directly connected with them. I believe that this conversation is very rich in terms of, some people like to identify themselves and say, I'm an Andromedan, I'm a Pleiadian or whatever. And my experience is that many of us are actually a blend of kind of a little of this, a little of that. Just like, I've got German in me, I've got English in me, and I've got Danish in me, kind of like that. So I will talk more about that as we go. And one thing I wanted to wrap up here with for this introduction is Dark Nights of the Soul. I specialize in that. I've been through them more than once, and nothing is too deep or upsetting for me to hear because I've either felt it or heard it from somebody else. So I'm very grateful to be here, and we are all looking forward to speaking with you and having you speak with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach. I started off as a scientist, and really I'm interested in the study of life and people. And so I found a way to do that through more of psychology and archetypes and people's souls. Because I knew looking at people, there's just more to people than our genetics making all of who we are. And so not just nature and nurture, I believe that also kind of magic and soul and spirit is part of who we are. And my aim is to see that and reflect that back to people through my eye readings, help people recognize who they are and how they are, and to true up to being as authentic as they can and make the choices that are the most in alignment for them. I'm also pretty grounded and practical in the earth plane, and so help with all kinds of strategic things about that too. There's information about me in the chat. I'm happy to be here. I love these conversations, and I'm excited to see where we go today. All right, the floor is open. What are we going to talk about? Did any of you that came today, did you come with specific things that you want to talk about? I know we're going to talk in something about ETs and all of that, having Jenny here. And Jenny, I just know other things you've been up to with collaborating with all that, but I don't know if you're talking about some of those collaborations yet, or that's all still brewing. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. And kind of Crystal, anything been happening for you that you want to talk about today? I'm getting landed still that it is June 14.
Well, the question that I have, since we're opening the topic about aliens, is I keep coming across alien implants.
You keep seeing them, experiencing them in people? What do you mean?
Yeah, like they like appear on people that I work on. People come up to me and be like, I feel like I have an implant. And when I scan their body, I'm like, lo and behold, there's an implant. And I've actually been, for me, I'm like, I check, is it active? Is it not active? Is it broadcasting? What's it doing? And then, normally what I do is I dismantle it, destroy it. And because it's based on a particular energy, like I send it back to its point of origin, is what I normally do. So my question is, what's with all the implants? I mean, because it seems like they're getting more frequent, and I'm not, and like, I haven't investigated enough, at least from an energy perspective, to try to figure out what is the purpose of all this. Like, I mean, I understand that different races have different purposes and, things like that, but it's like, I mean, I feel like why are they chipping us? Like, I don't understand. So I don't know if that's,
are they small? Are they different sizes and shapes?
well, when I perceive them, they can be, anywhere from like, sometimes they're like a playing card size because it's like flat, and other times they're like nanites. They're like really, really tiny. Sometimes they're just like stationary things that I see like in the person's brain, or I mean, they're like all over the place. Like sometimes I see like these little clips on the spine. I mean, they show up in lots of different forms. So I guess, and this is not, and it could be that my perception has widened enough that I can actually see them more, whereas, maybe they've always been there and I just never saw them before. But now I'm seeing them much more frequently than I used to. So I'm just like, so I don't know if this is just a perceptual shift, like that it's always been there, I never noticed, or if there's just more of it. And because I normally don't interact with ET. So I just, that was a question that I wanted to pose to Jenny, is that, have you noticed this? Have you had conversations about this kind of stuff? Like, what have you come across it at all?
And we have some stuff coming
So,
on the
so,
chat too. Yeah, Crystal, go ahead.
so before we jump into that, Kai, are they always, when you take them out, have you ever found an implant that's helpful, or you just find them, you just removing them because they're foreign, or how do you determine that they need to be removed?
Well, for the most part, it's like if it's in the body and, like if it's showing up, because when I work on somebody, like I'm just looking for stuff that should not be there,
Hmm.
right? So if something
Hmm.
shows up, that tells me that it should not be there. Because
Ah,
so anything that is already there that is functioning for the person's well-being, I'm not looking for. I'm just looking for, like, show me what has to either come out or is adversely affecting the person in some way. That's my intention when I'm scanning for something. And so if something shows up, then to me that's like, okay, it needs to be removed. And then what I'll do is, depending on what it is and where it is and all that kind of stuff, then I will go with the guidance, like, okay, like what do I do first? Because they give me a list. Like, first you do this and you do this and you do this and you do that. Because when you pull stuff out of someone's energy, that has the ability to disrupt their energy, which is what I don't want to do. So I'm like, they're like, first you do this, and then you do this, then you do this. And that is the process to remove something with minimal disruption, I guess you could say. And then after that, I send energy to help balance that. So that's how I view it. But like I said, I guess for me, the thing is like, why is it showing up more? I mean, is it just me? Or is it like stuff's showing up more?
Well, and have you ever seen the ones that are positive, or at least not that shouldn't be there? Like, have you ever seen them? Do you notice them? Do you ever go looking
No,
for them, or
because
you
like I
just,
said, that's not what I'm looking for.
yeah,
I
okay.
don't look for positive stuff. I mean, I'm like, okay, so here's a person who is like in pain or has some sort of energy block or something like that. I'm like, I'm looking for the thing that I can either remove or settle or open or something so that I can give this person some relief. That's what I'm looking for. So if something is there that is good, I won't even see that because that's not what I've asked for information on.
All righty.
So were you done, Kai?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I feel my experience is, and I emphasize my experience, is that this is a multifaceted thing. Number one, there's the veils, as we all, or most of us know, have been lifted and cleared so much on the planet. Like all this obstacle. I'm going to try and say the word. There's a word. I'm not.
Obstacles?
Something obscuring, something that kept us more veiled, if you will, to higher realms, higher dimensions, higher density levels. A lot of that's been shifted, as we know, and cleared. And so therefore, some of this is just like back in many years ago when sexual abuse wasn't talked about, and all of a sudden people talked about it, not all of a sudden, but over time. And it's like, well, there's all this sexual abuse. These people must be lying. It's like, no, actually, it's been here for however, God knows how long. And now it's safer to talk about it. It's more out in the open. So I think there's some of that going on. I also think that the ETs, they're telling me, my people, when I say they, I mean my people, are telling me right now that this is part of the process of disclosure, is to make it a little bit more gentle and safe. And Kai, I have to say, for those of you who want any kind of energy clearing, I've been to Kai numerous times. I've known her for 2 years. Unbelievably talented. Like, anyway. So I had to say that. I knew I was going to get a plug in there somewhere, Kai. That was my moment. Anyway, so if any of you are, yep. So if any of you have any kind of feeling like, does there a tracker on me, memories, she's the person that can find it. And the thing is, she'll be able to assist you in even if she hasn't ever seen it before, because she has a way of being able to uncover and kind of ask the right questions to do that. So, there's an overwhelming sense of love that's pouring through me right now from these energies, and what they're telling me is that there's a lot of this that is not to be afraid of, and some of it is. And I would say that the part that is the not to be afraid of so much is, if you have a tracker, so to speak, that's associated with you. It could be just them making sure that through all these layers and densities and all of that, they're still getting a bead on you, a reading on where they're at in the earth plane. Because believe it or not, even though they have a higher level of vision, a higher level of acuity of sensory and all of that, there's still some ways that they may not be able to easily or as easily track and get and help us if they need to quickly. That's my experience of it. The stuff that really pisses me off is, to put it mildly, is the stuff that's not positive. I'm like, that's just got to go. That's not acceptable. And the more that we have claim our sovereignty as and get our courage together to do those kind of things safely, gently, easily, and effortlessly, and with somebody like Kai helping you out, the more that power builds on the planet of, here's what we accept with ET contact, here's what we do not accept, and from whom and from what. So those are just some of my thoughts.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because that's what I thought. I was just like, I'm like, maybe I'm just not seeing it, and we've had it forever. And then it just started coming to my attention
Yeah.
because people started asking me, they're like, can you see implants? And I was like, I don't know. And then they're like, can you check? And I said, okay. So then I asked to be able to see if there's any implants that are, not for the highest good of that person. And then I started seeing stuff. So I'm like, okay. So,
Hey, Kai,
okay, thanks. Yeah.
do you ever get a sense of which group is behind those implants?
Well, here's the thing, because I don't have I've not looked at, because honestly, it doesn't interest me all that much. I'm a like pull it and get rid of it kind of person, right? It's like, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am like, if I find something and like, and I do the process to take it out, and then I realize that it's base energy, like what it's built from is not from here, then what I'll do is I'll ask for like a dimensional door to be open to where it does belong, and then I'll shunt it through the door and then close the dimensional doorway. So where it ultimately ends up or where it actually came from, the name of that, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're
it could
just
have
like, go
been,
back.
Pleiadian, it could have been,
Are you
I've
finding any repeating patterns or like, oh, I've seen this one before, or even keeping track of that?
well, I mean, I've seen like different structures before. Like I see like one of the thing that I've seen fairly commonly is like these little clips in the brain. And it's funny because they look like those little black and steel paper clips. That's how I see them, and they're like little clips in the brain. And then sometimes I see those same little clips along the spinal column. Um, and then other times I see like little electronic boxes like on different parts of the body. A class I recently had, somebody actually had an implant in the wall of the heart, which I had never seen before. Um, so yeah, so the structures themselves are different, and they all are, like I said, I haven't really noticed like this type of thing is belongs to this and this type of thing belongs to that. It's more like, okay, get it out and send it back. That's, so I haven't investigated that deeply.
Is there any kind of looking that you'd want to do right now to see if someone has one that's good and like see if someone wants to know? Like we could just do in this group so you could get a sense of what those are.
Um, I mean, yeah, I could, but again, as a healer, I don't. It's like one of those things, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
I'm not
right?
saying to do anything about it. This would just be to notice. And
Yeah. So when I'm working with somebody to heal, I look for the stuff that needs to go. Like that's my priority. Stuff that's working and is helpful. Like I don't care about that stuff because it's not my job to go, oh yes, there it is. That's awesome. I don't need to do that. Like my job is to get rid of what needs to be, removed or whatever. So I'm sure that if I like kind of flipped my switch, I guess you could say, and looked for things that were like alien and yet beneficial, I'm sure I would find it, but that's not usually what I do. So but I'm sure I
Kind of
can.
reminds me of like you're looking for a tumor, and so you're not looking for anything else. You're just looking for the thing that needs to be corrected versus
Yeah,
something that's potentially benign. So,
right. Yeah,
Well,
because when I do a scan, I'm scanning quickly. I'm like, just show me what I need to get rid of, work on, look at, be aware of. That's the intention when I'm working on something. So, because of the fact, yeah, like I said, I'm a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of person. So,
mhm.
well, I'm thinking of ETs kind of in line with our psychic gifts. Like so many of us have shut down to where we're not aware of what we can do.
mhm,
We're not in touch with our capacities in the same way like we don't allow ourselves to see ETs. I mean, to me,
right.
it's like the same kind of way that we're just closed off. Like we
Yeah.
can use me, for example, there's ways I'm closed off. I guess, Jenny, do you want to share a little bit about I guess about the journey of like opening or like what it's meant for you or like what's here for all of us about it, like to kind of take some of the conversation that way about ETs?
Sure. Yeah. So some of you may know this about me just because some of you I've seen before, but for my whole up until 4 years ago, literally my whole life, I was terrified of I always told the universe, highest self, do not show me ships, do not show me aliens. I don't want to see any of that because I was terrified. And where that came from was a lot of very repeated, very dark abuses I went through as a kid and my reaction to it. And so for me, my boundaries were so invaded. The last thing I need, I had to deal with it with humans, as many of us do, right? Let alone an ET. Like, how the hell am I going to deal with this foreign thing coming into my boundaries? So I set that, but yet, over the years, I was fascinated and I would study. Watch different shows, listen to podcasts, and etc., and talk to people who had had experiences. So I was watching a podcast by a man named Michael Sandler who has it's called Inspire Nation or something like that. It's on YouTube. He's had this for years. And this was, like I mentioned, about 4 years ago. And he had a guest on there who's been working with ETs for years. His name is Dr. Stephen Greer. Some of you may have heard of him. And so he is, what some people say that he's a fraud. Some people are just totally, believe in him. He works a lot with the government on these topics and bringing out disclosure of the ETs and telling the truth. But in any case, he was on as a guest and he said, hey, I'm going to walk everybody through a meditation and, just a loving guided meditation to, just to reach out and talk to, ETs, whoever might want to connect with you. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, this will be fun. And right. I'm like, and so I closed my eyes and it was very loving. And I actually saw in my mind's eye these beautiful there's actually a beautiful kind of gold purple, what I would say galaxy, but it felt really far away, really far. And then I saw one being, hard to describe the look, but this being had a sphere over its head. And I cannot begin to describe to you the effortlessness with which it was spinning this dome thing over this thing over its head, circle, because I'd never felt or seen anything like it in terms of, it wasn't like it was intending to have the thing move or pushing on it or anything. It was beyond any kind of comprehension. And it was so loving. So then 3 days later, I got nudged to look up. And sure enough, there were three bright, bright lights in the sky. And I'm like, those aren't planets, those aren't stars. And so, oh, wow, what a journey. That started my journey over time of talking to them. And right away I said, listen, don't come too close to me. I wasn't even expecting this. I didn't think this meditation was going to do anything with me because of my fear. And I told them, I said, don't come too close yet. I need to have this takes, at a pace here. Well, 2 days later, right in front of me, and I live in the second floor of an apartment. I've got a balcony and I'm looking up the sky and there's this big black triangle ship. And it was it was like right there. It was nighttime, so black on black, it was a little hard to see, but I could definitely, and I looked at that and I said I wasn't ready. And it just scooted away. Now, I thought that might be the people that I had connected with, but it didn't feel like a very good ship. And then the next night, I look up at the sky and there's this kind of a darkish orb coming towards me slowly. And I just nailed it. I said no. And it just retreated back. And I'm like, I don't know who they are. And if these are my people, I don't know if I want to have anything to do with it. They need to have some earth etiquette here, right? So then after that, and since then, over the years, I have never had anything like that. And I have seen all kinds of different lights, if you will. Sometimes they'll pass overhead and there'll be red and white flashing lights. And I always say to them, are you a ship? Show me you're a ship. Because if they're a ship, they're going to be able to move in an erratic way that an airplane or a helicopter wouldn't, because they're on a flight path, right? So every time without fail, there's, if it's green lights, whatever it is, and I ask it that, and I like to also say, hey, come over here a little bit more, and they do. They'll come a little bit more overhead. Sometimes they'll put on a little show. It's hilarious. There's a clearing in the trees, and I didn't ask for it, but I'm just on my deck sitting there, and they'll peek out and they'll come out and they'll show up, and then they go behind the trees again. There's so many things like that have occurred, but I will tell you that over this time, what's happened for me is this opening and ability to feel the energy of who I'm connected with. This particular collective, I will call it, this consciousness, is about unity consciousness, but this is unity like I've never even defined it ever in my life. Because these are the beings that are on part of this fleet are so connected divinely, and yet they are still unique unto themselves. And that's all. I'm doing a poor job describing it. I can't possibly say better than that. But I'm like, well, what am I doing down here? Why am I connected to you? And they were telling me about that. And I realized that they need people here, humans here. And when I say they, it could be the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Syrians, the Lyrians, whoever, they need people here because we're physically in this density as well as connected to them. And so the positive ones, the ones that are here for our good, they're trying to get a read, like we're like a barometer of what it feels like in an earth suit to be walking around down here. And it's really it's been made clear to me on that. Also, there have been times where I've asked them to teach me healing techniques from their level. I almost fried myself. I'm like, okay, got it. I understand, because I'm like, oh, show me. But they were just doing a slow version of it, and I still felt it. I have channeled them before, heard messages from them. And what's happened, Laureli, to your comment about, are we going to get more psychic or more of our abilities coming online? Mine are coming online like this, especially in the past 2 or 3 months, even more, my own abilities. And it's so incredible. I'll stop there. That was a lot. Thank you for listening to that, everybody. That was a lot of verbiage.
Well, while we're talking about ETs, anyone in the audience, do you have any comments or experiences you want to share? You're welcome to unmute and just share through audio. If you want, you can come up on Spotlight with us and be video recorded. Just tell us what you want. And remember, everyone's muted, so you just got to unmute yourself to participate. You can tell us in chat that you have something you want to talk about. It's up to you. You can just jump in. General discussion about all this is all included with you participating and being here.
Nobody?
Maybe no one does. I'm watching some people like looking like they might, but I'm not sure. And I was like,
all right.
Well, Jenny,
do you want to come up on video, or do you want to just stay in your seat? It's up to you. It's being recorded.
Oh, I don't mind.
You don't mind. All right, I'm bringing it up.
It matters not.
On the spotlight. Here you go.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anybody here that doesn't know me. There might be a couple. I'm delighted to meet everybody up here. I've seen, or most of you. Jenny, I'm excited to hear from you. I don't have all the gifts that you have, but I have an absolutely amazing connection with, I call them my E family.
Aw.
And they draw through me. They dance. They talk. I use light language with them to help me. And your last statement is something I've recently come into understand of how all humans, but especially the light workers, that it's important to have anchors here as humans so the work can be done. So, I'm a kind of a large transformer, high frequency radio station is what I call myself. And not channeling too much in English, but channel all the time whomever needs to come through to get whatever done in light language. And it's beautiful. And they all have different personalities, and it's an amazing thing that has made my life much more palatable and tolerable. So And that's one thing I like to do, is to make people think bigger, think outside the box, think outside of Earth, think, don't limit yourself to this planet or this galaxy. We're bigger than we realize. So thank you all for this discussion. And as always, thanks to Laureli for putting these type of things together, and you're being your extremely intuitive, in touch self. So anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I can take your spotlight, or Jenny, is there anything else you want to share or ask Michelle, or just
I just was curious. So for you, how did this start? Was it spontaneous? And secondly, if you're interested, I had a couple things that I could share that might be relevant directly to you, but we, offline another time or right now, either way. So I wanted to offer that to you, but also to ask you what this was like for you coming into this.
Share anything you like. I'll probably take advantage of your discount offer, mainly because there's a lot of things I can do, but there's a lot of things I can't do. and I love to talk to intuitive people on here, especially because I get feedback. I guess I would classify me as a conscious channel and a claircog. But when you're learning, it's like, well, how do you know what you know is real? So I get some beautiful feedback. And appreciate the light language, because there's no words to get in the way, and my ego can't get in the way, because it came kind of spontaneous. Sorry, to answer your question. There was a group, an online group. I was introduced to woo woo in 2019, and everything about it just felt so, oh my God, something finally makes sense. I grew up saying I'm just trying to fit in with the humans, and I'm like, oh, now I know why. And and there was an online group that there was a lady, a trance channel on there, and a shaman and an astral traveler and stuff, and so we just got together once a week to get everybody through. And I started, I don't feel a lot of people's energy, and I don't pick up on a lot of stuff typically, but I noticed when I was there and I'd start feeling energy, I'd start rocking, and trying to speed this up. I am very half fairy butterfly, half Spock. So when new thing, I like data. I just love data. So all the new information that came in, I don't care if it's like, I have pink butterflies in my bedroom, or I have a hippo with 12 wings. I don't care. I just filed it away. I said, oh, that's cool. It's all information. And so when I think my hands started moving first I started moving with it, and then my hands would start kind of take on a life of their own. And for me, I didn't freak out, because you could feel it. It's like, this is a happy, interesting feeling, not anything scary. And so then my hands started moving, and then I would kind of do a little breathy noise and stuff periodically when we were breathing, and then the sign language. Then I could find out if I tried to relax and listen to music, I did this beautiful dance, choreographed dance. I had no idea where it came from, but it was great. And then I started doing the mudras, the hand sign. And then occasionally I would try to draw some, and weird symbols would come up. But I loved listening to Monroe Institute free meditations in the car. And when you're driving, that gets half your brain out of the way. So I'd be driving and one hand's going like this, and I'm just breathing along with it. And I inhaled and I exhaled, because usually you get a few weird noises while you're at it. And I inhaled and exhaled, and went, and I did that for a little while, broke out laughing, said, well, that was fascinating. Give me a minute to get a breath, and keep going. And it hadn't stopped since. But I talk to these intuitives and say, do you have any idea who my guides are? Do you have any idea who's talking? And that started maybe 3 years ago. And so now I've got a better grip on it. And we go through our waves, and now I'm just settled. I'm just so happy they're here. They're always here. I love them. They're my family. They're my friends. We dance, we sing, some like to rap. They're like animals. They all got different personalities, and I don't always know who's talking, but I know they're there to help me, and I utilize them, and I'm well surrounded and well loved and well protected, as you say. And learn more every day, beautiful. And it's awesome, Blossom.
That's beautiful. Wow.
It is. They've to be pure, life was not the best, and it was only they helped me stay. Now
Oh,
I'm finally
yeah.
excited to learn more and be useful and see what I can do and have fun in this lifetime for the first time. So,
I just so appreciate you sharing that last thing that you just said, because that's really more common than we think. But when we're in the middle of that, sometimes we feel isolated and it's only us that wants to leave the planet or, get out of here quick. And so that's quite a testament there. And the minute you started talking, because I didn't know that you were going to have that where you were talking about the light language at first, but instantly I saw this big, like in your third eye area, this big, I mean, it was big, your third eye, or something connected to that. I don't know what exactly, but it's very, it's different. I haven't seen anything quite like that. And so the thing about being a broadcaster or a transmitter, it's perhaps an amplifier on one level. So you resonate with that?
yeah, it's what it again, like I said, light language is, even though I don't even understand what they're saying yet, but
Yeah.
it's just energy, and it's like 1,000 words in a blip.
Yeah.
I describe myself as a high frequency PA system, or a sound system.
I love
That's
it.
how I used to. It's like karaoke stage. I'm like, whoever wants to come up to the microphone, your turn to talk. I mean, sometimes I can feel them. They're like, me next. I'm like, get in line and behave if you want to chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and that's why when I say radio station, I mean the full thing, because I've learned when I work with people, I've learned it's much better to say, because my analytical side, I'm like, because I used to, my few guides, I'm like, okay, let me have my guide talk to them. And then they were like, I don't get it at all. I don't get anything. And I'm like, logic. Why would I not talk to your guide instead of mine? Because you're going to have a better chance, because yours is going to be on a frequency you're more familiar with. So I'll let them guys come through. And it's like I have to tune in. You just I tune in, and sometimes they're right there and it's easy. And sometimes it takes me a minute to tune in. And then for us older people, you change the station and then you hit the button and program it and just save it, and my little antennas like go around like, okay, let me tune in. Okay, gotcha. And then they talk, and then there's a much better opportunity for the people to understand, even though it's not in English. They get it more because it's their guides coming through. So it's frequencies they're more familiar with. So I learn every time I do it, and this venue has been amazing for that opportunity. And most people, understand what's coming across, something of it, whether it's images or feelings or emotions or knowing or something. Which is great. And the advantage is sometimes, because I was like, look, I said, just set your intention, ask your question. You don't even have to ask it out loud. They're like, I don't. And I'm like, no, and I don't even know what they're going to say. So there are some people are really happy that it's a private conversation. Yeah. It's entertaining, and I love it. So yeah, PA system, sound system, radio tower, transformer, and I am learning too. That's, I think, on a bigger scale, because all of us do things on a bigger scale also, that I work with the grid and other things, I believe, on a larger scale, for the same purpose, because I'm a large transformer, grounding tower, something, but it's brought me a great deal of peace and love. Yeah, I never felt the love, and I'm never alone. And that's a big thing for humans. A lot of humans feel alone. I know I'm not alone. I know without a question I'm not alone, and I'm supported, and I'm unlimited. I'm getting there, accepting that too. So it makes it a little more peaceful, a lot more peaceful to be here.
Yeah. I like how you talked about having the Spock in you, kind of that logical data collector part, because, that can, for many people, that might be just the ticket for them to feel like, oh, this isn't too crazy. Look at her. She's just speaking to me, logical, or we're having a conversation here, and there's an audience for you and a group of people that need that exact gift that you have. It's, instead of you going wherever you might go, leave the body or channel or whatever, there's this sense of you being part here, part there, part everywhere in some respects. And that ability to talk about from that human level in the mind, to help people understand it, can be very calming. So you obviously have beautiful, beautiful gifts.
Thank you very much.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say the science is catching up to back up the people that want to go on the other side. There's, Nassim Harriman. There's all kinds of stuff out there now. Laureli, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll just say, Michelle, if you're okay, if Kai answers this question. I was wondering, Kai, like when Michelle does light language, since you see Kai, you particularly see, like, do you see what's something that's going on, or what do you see of? I don't know what Michelle, what you're comfortable with Kai talking about, but Kai, I'm just wondering like what you see of like who shows up with Michelle and things like
Oh,
that.
I don't. I
Yeah.
have no. I'm out there for the sake of making people comfortable and learning, and you can't embarrass me. So
And
whatever I can do to serve and be useful, sure, let's have at
it's
it.
it's great. And Crystal and I was thinking about if during your 35 years of all the messages, like what they've shared about ETs or like any of the things that Michelle's talking about. Go ahead, Kai, if you.
Well, that that little burst of like language that came out right there, I was kind of startled,
Well, I
honestly.
could do something quieter from
No, no,
somebody
no, no,
else if
no,
you'd
no, no,
like.
no, no, no,
Easy, or I could talk to
no, no, no.
yours, whatever you want.
No, no, no. It's fine. It's just because I wasn't expecting it because like for me, like light language affects me in a way that most people are not affected by. And so when like different types of depending on the light language the expression, like some of it I'm okay with and others of it just like literally grates on my nerves. And I don't know why that is. It's just a reaction. Like I have the same thing like when I can't do like sound baths and things like that. It's like this certain frequency that is often wrapped in light language that I'm just like, oh my God. Um, so, but which is fine because everybody has to like find their path. So I'm not against light language or anything like that. And for people who do it, it's if like if that is the expression that has to come through, that's the path that I'm like, take it, right? That's your path. Go do it. As far as what I see, it always depends. So like as you did that little burst right there, like I got this image in my head of literally like a team of like 35 people or so that are like standing like in the back, just like, oh, are we ready to talk now? That was kind of like it's almost like, oh, whoa, wait, are we on? And so it seems like as soon as you kind of open the door, then like the team shows up and they're ready to, I guess, help with whomever. So it's one of those things where the impression I got was whoever the person is in front of you that you're talking to, it's like, okay, these three people need to have what they need to know. So these are the three people that step up and then they go one at a time to do whatever it is. And then when you have the next person, then like, okay, it's these guys over here. These are the three that need to, or these four guys, or like, oh yeah, tell her this too, kind of stuff. So it's like this, you have this team that's like 30, 40 people, and they trade off depending on who you're working with. And even for when they want to tell you something, there are certain people on the team that speak to you. And there are others that their their translation is so far from what you're used to that there's a translator on the team that translates for you to be able to do whatever you need to do, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So yeah. So basically like every time you go to do light language or you start this work, like your team is like, okay, guys, we're on, let's go.
Thank you
And then
very
when
much
you're
for that.
yeah, and when you're done, then they go back to doing whatever they're doing. So yeah, I mean they're never far away, like you said, like you're never alone because yeah, they don't step more than probably about 10 feet from you, honestly, is what it looks like. And then as soon as you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this work, then they all step forward.
Thank you. That's a lovely image. It's for the confirmation. And Jenny says, before I hop off, any information you want, I will be reaching out to you. Anything you want to provide, share, ask, all the above. Yeah. And if for some reason I drop off into the ether before that, Laureli knows how to find me. I would love to speak to you in any capacity. Kai, thank you for that beautiful image. Yeah, they sometimes they fight for the microphone. It's beautiful. I need to hop off of the spotlight here, but I actually have learned, but this is a good lesson to pass out with people, I think, because I've actually assigned I asked Swisha, my Pleiadian sister, who I believe is another aspect of me. I'm like, will you deal with crowd control because it gets noisy? I don't. It's not noisy like you guys might hear clear voices. It's just noisy like I feel like I'm like got my finger in a I'm being short circuited a little bit. And I've spent most of my life that way. And somebody else, an amazing person like you all, that made me aware of that, is she's like, you're like one of those trains in India and there's just like thousands hanging off you. She's like, we need to do something about this. So I've learned that while I'm not worried so much about the protection aspect because I have a beautiful group, but I worry about protection like crowd control. Because so I've asked her, I'm like, will you manage crowd control one up the mic at a time? Anybody else, you need to behave and respect, and just, so you're not like constantly in my ears.
I just I just happen to know that you've been drawing recently. Did you want to show some of the, if you have them there? Do you want to show so they can see what you've been
Oh,
doing?
uh, let Jamie go. I'm drawing, but don't have the other ones in here, but
Okay.
I'll grab
Okay.
them.
That's
But
great. So Michelle's been drawing some of the beings that are showing up and that are
Mm.
speaking. So that's why I just
yeah,
great.
well, I'm working on the one for you. That's not coming through yet. So not done.
But Crystal, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to share. I didn't, Michelle, if you wanted to get off stage, I can totally take you off stage.
Oh
Or if
no,
you want,
I'm not at all. I just didn't
okay.
know other people wanted, me, I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
trying to
no,
hog the stage here, but I can
it's great.
grab.
We've got questions from one person, and I know that Jay wants to say something and all that. But Crystal,
Yeah.
yeah, I was asking you, is there anything you wanted to share from what you?
From the group I belong to, the consensus was not every uh, extraterrestrial has your best interests at heart. It's not like, oh, it's all love and light. Like so many of us think that when we step into metaphysical, whatever shape form that takes, that everybody, it's going to be all love and light, and we're all going to sing kumbaya and, have a popsicle. It's, yeah, like Jenny, you were saying, like you were getting bad juju off those different instances that you were sharing. You're like, no, you are not the flavor. Take a hike. No, no. I Two different things. I do a massive amount of stuff when I'm asleep, and I know it's not here on this plane. I go all different places. I'm teaching, I'm problem solving. At one point, I was showing this group of people how to become guerrilla fighters so that they could save the rest of their people. I mean, it's wild. I'm out there doing all kinds of stuff. um, and then I have a good friend that when COVID came, we would hang out, but 6 feet apart. And we were hanging out like 6 months after we got the whole thing about everybody shelter in place. And we started anchoring in a portal, and I was in my chair and I could not move for like 45 minutes. It's just like pinned, couldn't really think. All I could do was just look at the trees and like trip out on how amazing they were. It's like an acid trip. Came back, and my friend is now the station keeper for this portal, and she has shared, especially when we had the shelter in place thing, how many entities she saw coming and going that were like peacekeepers that came to go different types of work to help with crowd control and help keep negative vibrations kind of on a lower simmer than, letting them ramp up. She had a conversation with two beings from Alpha Centauri that were kind of interviewing her about saying, we're getting humans that want to come and manifest on our planet. Can you kind of speak for the human race? And so they hung out with her for quite some time and different days and stuff and had different conversations. They did healing work on her. So yes, I mean, I believe there's definitely got to be other life forms that potentially we don't see here as much because maybe they don't manifest the way that we do on this plane, because this is a very slow plane. Energy shows up as matter and becomes solid or looks solid. And a lot of these beings are not vibing on this vibe, and so they don't show up the way that we like see everything else normally that we see. There's a whole thing about how prior to everybody incarnating on Earth, that there was what happened with this planet called Maldek, which was an Orion and Palladian kind of war, and there was some negative Orions, and they blew up this planet, and that's considered to be the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. And there had also been a Palladian colony on Mars. So just because it doesn't fit in our little bitty time capsule here on this planet doesn't mean that what they say, Horatio, there's way more. Hamlet said to Horatio, there's way more than you know about, that you can entertain in your mind. So why not? Like I said, it's it's impossible to think that we are the only life form in this galaxy. And they say that there's more planets and suns, stars than there are grains of sand on this planet. So yeah.
And if I can, I really appreciate
Sure.
you saying that, because you're absolutely correct. And I should have stated that somewhere and all that. I spent a couple years going to trusted people, figuring out who was with me, figure out who was with me by myself. And basically it's kind of like I created a trusted security team, so to speak. So I call them my family, but that's why I'm peaceful now, because I've kind of learned how to discern. And whenever I have a question, if somebody, because I can kind of feel when somebody new wants to come in, over my learning, part of all this learning is how to speak, how to communicate clearly. And, I had to learn to say, if somebody's new coming in and they kind of feel strange, are they okay? And if they're not okay, kick them out, and with love, but kick them out, and so, yeah, it is very important. I try not to do anything out of fear and anger, but it is, yes, I did spend that time learning to discern and have built a relationship with them. And now there's a level, like you can't get in the door unless you're, so somebody described me before I knew this. They said I feel like sometimes a large high frequency bug zapper, like I think some of the lower beings avoid me, but that to be said, there's always ignorance and there's always learning, little things that come around and hang out. But anywho, to answer your question, Laureli, get off of here. Let's see if this thing actually pick up my phone.
Okay.
So this is a being that's with somebody. This is somebody's deceased somebody. This is come on, Sylvan. Oh, the light. I don't know if I need to turn the light down. Sylvan is there he is. Sylvan loves to draw. Sylvan's one of my ETs. Somebody's seen him with me and he loves to draw. So I said, hey buddy, will you paint yourself? I love Sylvan. He's just got a sweet energy. That was drawn for Diane, who was here. Y'all are familiar with Diane. That was a being that was with Jamie. And there's a being that was with Rosewood that she recognized after we introduced. There's a being with somebody. Let's say there's one of my guides, Ragnar. Jamie, if you remember the guy with the hat that you saw, the armored hat, that this was an incarnation of his, I believe. When he, sometimes they pick a physical incarnation, or I'll say, will you draw yourself in one of your favorite physical incarnations, kind of thing. This is, when I see these, this is, I think, like your interstellar guys that are like physical or non-corporeal sometimes. So they kind of, you get stars and energy swipies. There's Sylvan again. And this is Suisha, my Pleiadian sister. Again, you get the kind of like, perhaps she can be corporeal and non. And there's Sananda, who one of my buddies likes to talk and draw all the time. And there's somebody that was with me. So yeah, I have lots of fun.
Great. Thanks for showing us. Just wanted to get an idea.
Thank you very much for all of your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for.
One last thing I would say that really echoes what Michelle said and kind of what I said earlier. If any being is on the up and up, they will not coerce you. They will not try to make you afraid. They will not manipulate you. They will show up and have ethics, and should not be trying to push an agenda onto you. We can say, hey, slow down. This is too much. I need to do smaller bites. I mean, we can set boundaries, we can set rules, and we can say, you know what? Not my person. Later days. And so I just want to say that because sometimes we think, oh, they don't have a body, so they know more than we do, and they're special. And it's like, this is just a temporary encounter suit. We definitely are energy. So just want to put that out there. So thanks.
And just as special.
Exactly. More special than others sometimes.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thank you all.
All right, great. I know we got a bunch of questions in the chat I want to get to, and then Jamie, you had something you want to share or ask. What did you want to?
I wanted to ask Jenny something. It's nice to see you, Jenny. I haven't
Nice
seen.
to see you too, Jamie. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, all the stuff is coming out from the shows and everything, the reveal day and all this, and I have no doubt that we're definitely not alone. And but my question is, in what forms do they come on Earth? Because there's some things that we see on Earth that are very unexplainable, like uh, uh, octopus, for example, has no relation to anything on Earth. The DNA is different. Everything's different. Is things like that possibly alien or?
Yes. To put it in a quick nutshell, there are, in my experience and opinion, various ways that some of them show up. Sometimes they will show up for a blip in the screen where they were able to kind of materialize some aspect of their consciousness and show up as a human to help intervene in something and then be gone just as quickly. I've also encountered humans who I got a real bad in my body and in my psyche about, and I knew it was an ET in them, inhabiting them, whatever they were doing. And I could tell. So sometimes they'll come as parasites, if you will, temporary or otherwise, in the same way that, like the work that Kai does with entities and energies and all that, in that same way that those types of disincarnates come in. I've also seen that with ET, if you want to label it that way, also come in as orbs for a lot of people, these white orbs that'll be passing through the room. Sometimes they come in as animals because it feels safer to the humans, and to have an animal like a pet that's kind of their familiar, but it's actually ET based. And some people are I've experienced flat out ET, and they don't even consciously know that they are. But I just feel these things. It's like on my skin and my heart. I just can sense it. Does that answer the question before I keep going?
No, it does. Definitely does.
Okay.
Okay, great. Jamie, is there anything else you want to share or ask at this time?
Me?
Yeah, just checking.
Like maybe another one for Jenny. I had something happen to me a while ago, and I didn't feel it was a ghost. It felt something very different. I got up early in the morning like I normally do, and I was making myself coffee. And I put a cup down on the counter. Wasn't wet, just woke up. And I went to go grab the coffee to pour it, and the thing spun around on me. And it did so in kind of like it, I don't know how to explain it. I felt it was funny. Like if you think it's something really weird like a ghost, it's going to kind of like, ooh, scare you a bit. But for some reason, I thought it was funny. It was cute. Would that be ET, or would that be just something spirit?
Depends.
Yeah.
It could be a guide, it could be an angel, it could be a energy, it could be an ET, it could be some aspect of you from another dimension that's trying to get your attention, and doing so. But the most important thing, even in my opinion, even more important than what is it, is how did it make you feel? And did you feel safe? And just checking in, right? This is so important. But Kai, I'm going to actually pass that one over to you. Do you have any sense about that cup or crystal? What he was.
Yeah, it actually, the energy of it feels more like a mischievous kind of spirit, like a sprite, fairy, that kind of thing. Because, there's, in terms of beings, there's a spectrum, right? And so there's lots of different things that are like, they're not quite good, they're not quite bad either, they're just kind of in the middle. and they like to play tricks, and they like to have jokes, and they like to have fun. And so that's what that feels like to me. It's just like just a little energy being, like a fairy, or something like that, that just wanted to come and mess with you a little bit. It's not doing anything intentional to hurt you, just kind of just playing a little joke on you. um where I used to work, we had one that was actually in the women's bathroom. It liked to like play. We had one of those automatic paper towel dispensers things, so nobody would be in the bathroom and we would hear the thing go off all the time. And I'd go in the bathroom and I'd see like this little creature just like in front of the thing, making it go off all the time. So, like every once in a while, you just get these little things that come in and they just like to play. They're just having some fun. They're not trying to hurt anything, but it can be a little like, what was that?
Yeah.
But yeah, not harmful.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's see, we had a bunch of questions in chat. They're all from one person. I want to just kind of read through them and let's see which of those we answer. So did ETs build or teach us to build the ancient monoliths? And I said, like, what have they taught us to build that shows up on Earth so we can appreciate them? Like, so we know what they are and can appreciate them. And then are ETs from the future or are they simply interdimensional? Did they visit or were they sent to further humanity's progress? Are they helping us avoid nuclear war? Did they have us mine gold for them in ancient times? Why are they visiting so much? Were people truly abducted? Do only the negative ETs abduct us? Are humans hybrids of prehistoric humans and ETs? What about Bashar? Is he a more advanced ET? Are there human ET hybrids on Earth right now? Those are some questions.
Questions and a half right there. Gracious. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see here. Are ETs from the future? They may be, but we also have some that are like within our, like on our timeline as well. Time can be a flexible thing, is the way I look at it. So the ET that we've been dealing with could be one from the past, what we consider the past, or it could be from what we consider the present, or it could be from what we consider the future. Their sense of time might be completely different from ours. So that's kind of wishy-washy, I guess you could say. They're simply interdimensional. Some are not. I mean, there are some that are actually in our dimension. We may not see them, but they're here. Do they visit and or were sent to further humanity's progress? I think some yes, some no. Are they helping us avoid nuclear war? Again, some yes, some no. At least this is kind of where I'm going with this. It's like, do they have us mine gold for them in ancient times? That I don't know. I mean, because there's a lot of speculation about, what it was before recorded history and how old the earth really is because of, climate change and supposedly the earth flipping over and changing what is that, polarity and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of unknown things. So the whole thing about, us mining gold for them, it's like at this point it's supposition, because as far as I know, there's no evidence of that. But there are people who do believe that. I'm not one of them, so I'm not really sure. Why are they visiting so much? Because each has their reasons. Some of them are coming to help us and others are not. Everybody has their intentions and their motivations. Were people truly abducted? I would say yes. There are some people who have literally been abducted, because when I look at their energies, like when people talk about different things, and I've read different books of, people who talked about abductions and stuff, it's like their energy feels different before and after. So they have been abducted. What happened and all that stuff, I don't know for sure, but their energy feels different to me.
What about the questions of have they helped us build things?
Again, that's one of those things that it's a question of what happened before, because archaeology has a specific timeline. This happened here, this happened here, this is how it happened. Most of that is based on what they think happened, not necessarily what actually happened, because there's things that archaeology to this day cannot explain. And they're like, well, that's an anomaly. Correct, it is. And that's end of story, right? For them, they're like, they're like, it's an anomaly. We don't count that, right? Anomalies we don't count.
Doesn't fit the model, so we just ignore it for now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so that's why, it doesn't fit on the graph. So we don't look at that. So could that stuff be built by ETs? The possibility is yes, but we don't know for sure because we don't have any evidence, one way or another. It's just scientifically an anomaly. Let's see. Do only negative ETs abduct us? That I don't know. I don't have any sense of that. And, I don't know if that's been something that's in Jenny's work. If you've come across, like, if there's been a difference, like somebody got abducted and it was a good thing, I don't know.
I think when people go on trips, it's just, do we use the word abduction? I think the word abduction is generally used for when it's considered bad or not against the person, like the person hasn't consented. But people travel, I believe.
Yeah.
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 So other people might call that an abduction, but the person experiencing it might not.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume that, yeah, depending upon the viewpoint of the abductee or of the person, then that would determine whether it was positive or negative, and how they would categorize that. Are humans hybrids of prehistoric humans and ETs? That I don't know, because genetically speaking, like most of us can trace back to the beginnings of, being in the pond kind of thing, except for, like Jamie pointed out, the octopus, which is completely different than anything else on the planet and has no, DNA relativity to anything else, which is fascinating. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Is it possible? Sure. What about Bashar? Is he a more advanced ET? Yeah, I've heard about Bashar. I don't know what he is or what he isn't. I've not looked at his energy because I haven't had any reason to. But he is very well connected, I will say that, in terms of like how he connects to things and what he says. Are there human ET hybrids on Earth right now? I would say yes. So that's my answers.
Thanks, Kai. Jenny, you want to share some things? Yeah. Anyone else? And
That
anyone
was
in the
good.
audience, you have insight on this too. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to take a minute and see if anybody does? Anybody have any insights on that for your own opinions or experiences?
I think there's a good chance that they've helped us build some things. You look at the pyramids, the sophistication of the pyramids, and the technology that went into it in that time period is way above what we could have done. There's those incidents that they've built, like right now, technology's taking off at a rate that's never been seen before. AI, all that stuff. Is that us coming, or are we getting some help? Makes sense that we're getting help, to me anyways.
Well, if you follow the conspiracy theorists, the reason why our technology is advancing so quickly is because we stole it from ships that crashed.
Mm-hmm.
You could be right. Yeah, that could be it too. But it's definitely not just from ourselves.
There's a few names that I'd like to give you all to, that you might be interested in doing research, because these names that I'm going to give you, there's about 5 of them here. These are people that I have listened to a lot on YouTube. I'm a podcast fanatic, and these are people who you may agree with them or not, but the questions that came up from whoever put them in the chat, these people I'm going to give you as are people you could go to their channel, for example, and find shows where they discuss some of these things. And these people have, extensive research. And this is just 5, right? I could name even more, but Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer is one of them. He used to be an ER doc many, many years ago. And he actually has a mobile app that you can get, which is for contact of the third kind, if you will. A guy named Paul Wallace, who used to be a priest or a pastor, one of the two, who has a channel called the number 5, Fifth Kind. Wonderful guy, extraordinary biblical scholar who stepped away from all that when he found a million different discrepancies, and now goes and talks to people that are very religious about these kind of things and other things. James Gilliland, who has a big property in Washington State, big property, southwestern Washington. And I think, and his is ECETI, ECETI. And Gilliland, I think, is GUILLIAND. He's been doing this stuff for 35, 40 years. He's had government after him. But on his property, the ships happen to, it's just a hot spot, and lots of ships. He has people come out for webinars and talks and all kinds of things. And then his counterpart in Australia, who I love, his name's Peter Maxwell Slattery. So they're all people you can just look up on YouTube or online. And then, sorry, there's one more, a guy named Billy Carson. His company is Forbidden Knowledge, but the number 4, so Forbidden Knowledge. And I'm bringing these people up because I've watched all of them multiple times talk about all these kinds of topics that have come up in the chat. But number 2, they've been doing it for a long time, like some of them 35, 40, 50 years. And so they've seen a lot, and they've been under scrutiny. Their channels have been blocked because they're bringing stuff that actually resonates and feels like truth, and it's getting suppressed, and there's all kinds of stuff. So hopefully that's helpful.
Great. Thanks. Anyone else have anything you want to share? Crystal, do you want to share anything about this? Anyone else in the audience?
It kind of reminds me that there's so many different ways to be. And you get called when you're called, and you follow that calling, and it takes you wherever it takes you. So it's like, Jenny, you were sharing, like, what, 4 years ago all this started for you, or something like that, or 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So it shows up when it shows up, and some of us, apparently, that's part of our calling, and others of us experience connection in different ways. So I think the fact that my understanding is when we had COVID, that was the tipping point for us as a species. We hit our critical mass point, and we are able to push far enough over that now we've opened to our next evolutionary growth, spiritual evolutionary growth. And with everything just kind of exploded during that time. I mean, things have been coming up more and more, but like Jen, you were mentioning that, sexual abuse was never used to be talked about, and now everything is being talked about. So I don't find it that unusual that more and more people are having a galactic connection of some type or form, or multiple forms. And like all this other stuff, how do you prove it? You obviously we can't. Science hasn't caught up enough yet to give us the evidence. And I don't know how fast that'll happen or not. When I was talking about what happened with the planet Malduk exploding, one of the things was Earth was at that point a receptacle for intergalactic universal zoo, for lack of a better word. And so lots of different things on the planet, like octopus, they didn't necessarily originate here on this planet. They were brought here. This is part of there's lots of different stuff that doesn't fit. And scientists, we don't know where this came from. It doesn't match other stuff that's already here. So the things are just bigger and wider than a lot of times we consider. Doesn't necessarily cross our path enough to actually think about it. Maybe we're too over here in this corner working on whatever this stuff is. So I just think it's, if it's calling you, answer the phone. ET phone.
Yeah, right. Good one.
That was totally unintentional.
But brilliant.
Okay.
Well, let's see. So if anyone has anything else they want to share, go ahead, let us know. And then someone else had a question in chat. Let's see. And we might have a personal question coming in. The general question is, Once I was looking at a nearby tree when I was in my backyard. They were looking at a couple of lights in the tree when all of a sudden the tree took off super fast. I think they're talking about the tree. When it took off super fast, making me think it was an 18. Maybe it was the lights that took off super
The lights.
fast. Okay, the
Like
lights
the
took
tree took
off.
off?
Like the tree took off. The lights in the tree took off super fast. So could that have been an AT?
Sure.
Something that had morphed into something that we would recognize so that it could be cloaked, so to speak, you know, and then dematerialize itself from that. And yeah, for sure.
Right.
It also could have been your own perception opening up to something that was trying to teach you something, like this appears to be a tree, but not everything is as it's like Crystal was saying, you know, not everything is as heaven and earth, or whatever that Shakespeare quote that you were talking. I don't know what it is either, but that quote, right? Not everything is as it seems sometimes. And so perhaps there was an element of that that was you showing yourself, or seeing, kind of piercing through the veil and seeing something, teaching yourself that maybe there's things that are around you that you could see differently. Or, I mean, there's many ways I could say this, but that's something else to consider too, and kind of sit with that. Might have been for you and your own growth and skill level.
Great.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you would mention that, just because the earlier today I walked a bunch of people through to get to introduce them to the Akashic Library. And so when I walked them, I did like a mini guided meditation to get them there. And some of them walked in and they got to do all this stuff and they saw all these things. And other people were like, I didn't see squat. But they were at least able to get something by doing this little mini meditation thing that I did. And I said, okay, so right now you're at the point where this is as far as your perception will allow you to see.
Mm.
So when you try again on your own, you would get a little further. Things that, for people, they're like, well, I said something in the distance, but I couldn't really see it. I said, well, the next time you come in, maybe it will be clear, because this is part of your awareness growing, your perception growing. And so when you see like a light, like an orb or something, maybe the next time when you see an orb, you'll actually see some detail in the orb. So it might be like a fairy, or it might be like a ghost, or in other words, like there might be something that you could actually identify. But in the beginning, it's like when you first open your eyes in the morning and everything's blurry, and then it takes a minute to adjust. It's kind of the same thing, especially if it's something that's new to you, like a new ability, a new awareness. Like it takes a bit to kind of get used to it, and then you'll expand and get more detail, and you'll get more color and more whatever it is, like the expansion will open fully, and then you'll be able to see what you're looking at, experience it more fully, and then you can continue to grow that if that's what you choose to do.
Right. All right. And let's see. We've got okay, so and we've got a personal question. So any other general questions that are connected to what we've been talking about right now? Okay, so and we're going to do this one anonymously, I think. Um, okay, great. So it's a two-part question. Oh, you can ask without going on camera. Why don't you just ask without going on camera? I think that would be better, because then they'll get your voice and you can have more dialogue.
Okay. The first question is about a recent experience that I had with,
Speak up, please.
oh, sorry. The first is a question that I had with a recent experience with a beloved pet that passed. And that day I had tried to connect. And then what happened is that night when I was asleep, I I had a dream about cats fighting, and I woke up, went back to sleep, and then the smoke alarm went off, and I got up and then it turned itself off. It happened again, and I decided to change the battery in that one. And then a second alarm and a third alarm went off. So I ended up changing the batteries in three alarms. And I didn't know if I had, was this my cat? Was this my opening a portal? What was it that happened that night? Because it actually kind of freaked me out.
And I might have a photo of your cat still if
And I
that's
was told that
helpful.
there were very strong connections with this cat, and I actually did have a different visitation of sorts also happened prior to that event. But the reason why I ask is because one time when somebody asked me to just try to practice um, mediumship, I did a pretty good job. But that next morning, my two cats fought with each other. So this, I have an association of cats fighting with being accurate with mediumship or something or making a connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was saying you had no idea that your cat was this close to passing. It didn't sound like it from when you spoke about it a few days before. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of an unexpected and difficult, passing, at least for me emotionally it was. And then this event that I described with the smoke alarms was um, a few days later. It was not that particular day.
Okay. So my question is, before all this stuff happened and your pet passed, were you working on mediumship prior to that?
Um, I've been working on developing my psychic skills in general. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, specifically mediumship. Is
No,
that something that you've been working on?
no, but I have been able to when I do a psychic reading or something, I have been able to pick up on dead dead animals or different, just things from I guess the Akashic records.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
do I do practice with the Akashic records, but I don't think
Okay.
of that as mediumship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to ask specifically about mediumship because what I've noticed recently over the past few years is that there's a lot of people who are kind of, I guess you could say, waking up as mediums, and which is not a bad thing, which is a great thing. The problem is they have terrible boundaries. So what
Ah.
happens is they open themselves up and their energy field that
Hmm.
then allows like other things to come in.
Yeah.
Because what I got with the whole fire alarm thing is it's like that was a mischievous spirit that was just like, oh look, something I can play with because they love electronics. So a lot of
Hmm.
times, like if your lights are randomly blinking and there's nothing wrong with it, it's because there's like a spirit in your house that way. Um, and the whole thing about the cats fighting, like the what I'm being told about that is that that is kind of like your signal that something's wrong and you need to like look at what's happening.
Ooh, okay. That makes sense. That makes
So,
sense because the really creepy thing about the first time I did that mediumship thing, and I didn't even want to. It was just the person kind of pushed me to ask about a specific person that had I'd seen.
hmm,
Is that, when I couldn't go back to sleep because the cats had fought, I went to go brush my teeth, and there's something that materialized on the brush, the toothbrush itself.
yeah.
So that was totally freaky. But you're saying that if I do have a dream with cats, then that makes sense for me.
Yeah, I mean, or even if you, I mean, you might just be doing your regular thing and you get the like you hear or you get the sensation like the cats are fighting. Because I mean, I have cats too, and when the tension ramps up, like they're gonna start fighting, like I know, and I'm already yelling, quit it, right? Because I feel that tension already building. So when you get that sense, like that is when you need to be like hyper aware, like there's something happening. And because it's not physical, it's on a spiritual level, like
Mhm.
you need to be like very conscious of your energy at that point.
And do I ground myself then, or what do I do to get rid
Well,
of?
You should be grounded already.
yeah. Like, yeah, grounding is something that, that you should actively be doing. But, like I'm a big advocate for shields, especially for people who are like just starting to do things, trying to figure things out, just working their way through things. Like energy shields really, really help. I mean, there's some people who are like, like if you have your energy shield, that means like you don't have any faith in your abilities or something. I'm just like, I think that's BS. I'm like, I would prefer to have a shield, at least an energy shield to protect me to some level, until or unless I can get to the point where I feel like I can regulate and protect myself without this extra energy. So that's a personal choice, but I always tell my students that unless you really know what you're doing and you know your energy signature well enough that you can detect changes immediately to prevent
Mhm.
yourself from having any kind of, drawbacks to stuff, then an energy shield is the way to go because we can't be constantly vigilant.
Right, and
And
this was in
so,
the middle, most recently that was in the mid like 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
yeah.
you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, well, and
I
that's another point right there is between the hours of usually 1:30 and 3, that's when entities and negative things are the strongest. So if you are disturbed during that time, that means that there is something there that's literally disturbing you and
Wow.
bringing you back to consciousness.
Are you talking about, and we can set the shields before we go to sleep?
Correct.
Oh yeah.
can you tell us how to do that? After I have a second question, but I'd be really interested in learning how,
Let
what.
me get
Yeah,
a lead
well,
to.
it's the one of the easiest way to do it is, well, the first thing I would do in your case is I would clear your house. So I don't know if you use sage or chant or whatever the heck it is, whatever method you want to use to clear your house first. Do that first. And then what you would do is I always tell people like imagine yourself or your property or your car or whatever it is inside like an a shield that's like shaped like an egg. Like you're inside an egg, it's
Bubble.
white
Oh, yeah.
light. So you can call white light down from source and like cover yourself up all the way around 360 degrees, not just in front, but all the way around, and do that for your entire property. And if you're actually going to do your property, whatever that happens to be, if it's an apartment or a house or a condo, whatever it is, make sure that you extend it out. So it's not just to the limits of the property, it's probably like go like another foot out in all directions. So it's like you have like this little container that your place is in. But yeah, clear it out first because if you put the shield up and then you clear it, you're gonna trap stuff in.
And I put a link in the chat to your energy shielding course too, Crystal.
How long does
You
this
say
last for, or do you got to keep doing it every day?
Um,
shielding, you mean?
Yeah.
no, it's like you once you put it up, it should be up for a while. Like, but you'll again, this goes with being aware of energy. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing lasts forever. So when you feel like, wait, the energy's feeling a little thin, then you can go ahead and rebuild it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is triple grid a good way to get rid of it to protect energy? Triple
You
grid?
could use it if you want to. It's not necessary per se. I mean, I always tell people like don't shield too hard because what happens is like that's like like some big entity could be coming by like a really powerful thing that decides to go tunk tunk, what's in there? Like so just shield as hard as you feel is necessary, but don't overdo it.
Don't shield in a way
There's
that
no need.
attracts more than you want.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like think of it as like, like you're going outside and like you dress for the weather, right? So you don't wear a parka if you're going out for the summer. You take a light jacket. So wear the shield that you need for whatever you need. So, if you don't need like a super heavy duty, like I need heavy duty shields because of what I do, but most people
Mhm.
don't. So you don't need to go that hard on it. So
Okay.
just don't overthink it. honestly.
Okay.
Don't
and
overthink it.
Okay, I'll just so just literally just burning sage and walking around the house.
Yeah,
Is not
clear the
good.
house
Okay.
out, and then you can just, you can ask your guides to put the shield up for you if you're not really sure how that works,
Okay.
because they know how to do that stuff.
Okay. Okay. The other question I had
Well,
is
just before you go on, I think Crystal wanted to share something. Crystal, did you want to say something on this part?
Yeah. Um, the sense I'm getting about your energy, first off, what Kai said, dead on. I mean, that's what I was getting, that same information. Um, it's almost like cats are a totem for you. So anything that's kind of cat related could be a signal to you or a confirmation, depending on what's going on for you at that moment, that time. Um, your energy to me feels um, sort of stagnant, kind of slow, a little sticky. Um, so when Kai was talking about calling in the light, I would suggest that I call it energy hygiene. It's like having a way to ground and then call in light and let it come all through your space, and put it out through your feet, releasing debris. And then when you're done with that, then anything you've released is being filled up by that light. And then at the same time, you're also surrounded now by the light. So you're sitting in that energy egg. Um, if just things just feel sort of slow, like you're not having enough flow, like there's no, like airing out a room. So I would just suggest that you try that and maybe try it for a few days and notice the difference about how you feel and about how your energy feels. Um, and the other thing I'm getting is because you say you're like starting to look at becoming and doing more mediumship work, um, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. I mean, you shouldn't be allow yourself to be forced or pushed. You can also set what some people call business hours, like don't show up and bug me before 11 o'clock in the morning, whoever that might be. And I'm done at 6. And so the business is closed. So again, don't be coming into my space. This is not just like a 24-hour truck stop and anybody can show up and do what they want. You want to take care of yourself. Um, and again, so cleaning, having that awareness, and allowing your energy, your nervous system to acclimate to this higher vibrational stuff that you're bringing in. Because we vibrate at a specific level, and as we begin to work with higher vibrational energy, sometimes we can kind of burn ourselves out if we're going too fast or not be more aware of what's happening because everything here needs to acclimate. Does that make sense?
All right,
I
you're
also feel
muted.
I also feel like there's some fragmentation as well in the energy.
What do
So
you
I'm
it's
mean?
not,
sorry.
there's fragments. So in other words, like it's not just stagnant, there's also fragments.
Hmm.
So things need to be
Yeah.
cleaned and drawn back in.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to give you a quick context, Crystal, and that is that during COVID is when I started learning about, my psychic abilities, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and so when there was an online class with a person who didn't ground me or ground the other members of the class, um,
Yeah.
it, you know, I had actually wanted to get a reading, but she just kept on encouraging me. She's like, "Oh, come on, just try it." And so that's how I ended up having that
Right.
very first weird experience where I swore I wasn't going to do anything again. But after my beloved cat died, I am taking classes with development. So I was talking to one of the leaders and I said, "Can you help me sort of, you know, ask a question or two?" So that's how that came about. And I wasn't even thinking of it as mediumship because I was so connected to my cat. But then
Hmm.
all those freaky things happened that night, right? So it was not that I didn't want to have that connection. It's just that I don't think I realized that, oh, even though it's a cat, I'm doing mediumship again.
Yeah. I'm I'm not saying that you can't have the connection or desire connection. It's just this is kind of new territory, sort of, it still sounds like, and you're taking classes and stuff for it. So whatever resonates for you in these classes, keep that. If there's stuff that doesn't resonate, it doesn't feel like it's yours. It's like this whole box of tools, and you're like, ooh, I don't like this one tool. I don't like this other tool. Those don't fit for me. Just use the ones that fit for you. And I really can hear your inner guidance, like they're talking to you and they're wanting you to listen. And just, again, it just feels like you're kind of displaced. So the more you can be grounded, the more you can clear your energy. And the other thing about if you clear your energy, then you'll get a baseline for what you normally feel like. So you get a better sense of when something ends up in your space. All of a sudden you'll be like, wait a second, I felt fine like 10 minutes ago, and now
Right.
I don't feel right. And check, like, what's going on? Then you can do an energy inventory on yourself and check stuff out, whatever you're utilizing to do that. And that's going to do a lot of different things. Number one, you're going to get much better at diagnosing yourself and diagnosing energy and understanding how you're wired and how you work. That in turn you've now had experience with that. And so you get more facile in beginning to recognize energy and beginning to experience it in a different way and utilize it more. You'll get more experience with it. And I'm being told you need to turn on your bullshit detector.
Okay.
Turn up the
Yeah.
volume.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean by that?
Well, when the alarm went off, I did sense something was weird. And then when it kept, this happened over the span of an hour, I was very freaked out by the end of it. And I had just
Yeah.
missed that day's lesson of like we're starting to do astral travel and stuff like that. So I, was feeling like, oh my gosh, I do have a lot of things coming at me in different forms. So this was just one of those forms. But
So
with
what I meant by a bullshit detector is just because that person or whoever is teaching you stuff doesn't mean that a piece of paper doesn't mean necessarily that they are an expert at what they're talking about.
okay,
I'm getting this discrepancy between your inner knowingness calling something out and you struggling with the fact that, well, this authority, print, quote marks, is telling me something, but internally, some part of me is going like, wait a second, no, that doesn't line up with what I am or what I'm doing. Because that's a huge part of when we're learning how to use our abilities is to build our inner relationship with ourselves, with our intuition, with our inner guidance, so that we can say, this just doesn't feel right, and trust that. And again, you're going to build on that. And the more you build on it and the stronger it gets, the clearer you get, the more you're trusting yourself, which means the more you're trusting what you can do, versus somebody saying like, well, you have to have this paper before you can say you can do anything.
I think it's actively using your sense of discernment, because this whole thing is like there's no one size fits all.
right.
It just doesn't work like that, so you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't listen to what other people say. Like hear them out, be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, because they might tell you something that maybe the whole thing that they're working on, you're like, no, but pieces of that, yeah. So but you want to have your discernment up and running so you can like yes to this, no to that, possibly in the future, or hell no, never in this lifetime, right? You want to have that kind of thing going on so that you can, because yeah, there's no one right way to do things, right? People
Correct.
say like, oh, all roads lead to Rome, right? At some point, if you're heading to Rome, you're going to get on a road, and it may not be the same road as everybody else, but you'll still get there.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like when you put in something into Google Maps and it shows you 5 different ways how to get to someplace. Usually
Right.
it'll show you the fastest one, but that doesn't mean that's the one for you. Um, and sometimes we can go fast, and other times like, no, you know what? Today I need to take the back roads. I just need to like, settle it down more and just be with what's happening now instead of being fast and trying to get to that place. And again, that all comes with you building that relationship with yourself, with your inner guidance. Um, and personally, my own personal feeling is we get told that all the what we need is outside of us, and all the
Right.
authority and stuff is outside of us, and we can't trust what happens within us. We have to go out there and find it. It's like it's just the opposite. We're all born with, well, when we get our cognition online, we have all this stuff within us.
Yes.
It's just that's part of the whole journey of especially if you are committed to a metaphysical slash spiritual lifestyle. The rest of your life is experiencing and walking your path and just showing up as a better version of you as you go along, whatever way, shape, or form that takes. And the more that you have that relationship within yourself, the smoother it gets and the more peace you're going to have. You won't constantly be wondering, am I doing it right? She didn't say it like that. She said it different, but I feel like it's this. Start to become your own authority. And it's not that you get all arrogant and say, nobody can tell me anything. It's, you're still listening, but you don't doubt yourself first.
Yeah, that's the big thing because a lot of people that I come across, they're like, but I can't do that. I'm like, why not?
I'm that's not where I'm at actually because
No,
I've
no, no. And this
I've
is not,
taken
this
remote
is not
viewing and
specifically for
yeah.
you, but it's like people often like resort to that, like, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not moving, like I'm not strong enough, or I'm not whatever enough. And it's like, you can. And so other people are there to support you in the process,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately everything comes from you. Like, techniques and stuff like me just teaching how to do the shields and that kind of stuff. Like, that's just technique, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And you can adapt it any way you want. And you can actually, like, most of the time people use just plain white light, but other people are like, they can't visualize light. So I always say, well, pick whatever you think is the strongest thing on earth that you believe can withstand anything and build your shield out of the energy of that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. Well, I know we're gonna have to. You had another
I
part of a
guess
question like you wanted to sneak into, and I said if you want to
yeah.
do that, we should do it now and just a quick
Okay.
answer.
Just a quick question. Do you see any um external machinery or anything that's related to my health
Anything in you
in me that's related to my health?
and
That's
causing problems with your health, not supporting your
yeah,
health, but causing problems.
causing trouble with my health.
Excuse me.
Yep, I'm seeing 3 energy blocks in your system. One of them is like firmly in your liver. So that tells me that that's a lot of anger right there. Um, there is one that's actually in your lower back. And the third is actually like sitting right above your physical heart.
And are these machines or what? Who put
No,
them
they're
there?
not, they're not machinery, they're not implants. They are energy creations of your own, um, that have different, that were created by you to kind of protect you from what's inside them. Think of them as like they're containers. And so, um, if you focus either through meditation or journaling or whatever method you choose to use, you can pick one of those areas that I just stated and look at the energy of those areas, and you'll notice that it's different from what's around them. And then
Mm.
focus on the energy block itself, and you can actually open it up yourself. And sometimes it's in layers. or you could just crack it open like an egg kind of thing. And when you get to what's inside it, it is usually with energy blocks, they're emotional based. So there's some emotion, there's some trauma, there's something associated with it. Sometimes it could be like a childhood trauma that as an adult we don't think of as an adult. When we remember the incident, we're like, it wasn't a big deal. But at the time that it occurred, it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so in order for us to move forward, we needed to kind of encapsulate that, store it so that we could move on. So yeah, so I would focus on those three areas because those three things are impacting your energy system, and they are impacting your health and your general well-being.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. Yeah, if anyone else wanted to answer that question too, if Kai's answered sufficient, that'd be great.
Just an addendum to what Kai shared is they're all linked together. So when one goes off, the other ones go off. So it's almost like a chain reaction. So when you begin to start looking at these and working and taking them apart, you might want to also look at the fact that of those connections to each other and start to also maybe disconnect those pathways.
Thank you.
Great. All right, well, we've got a little bit of time left, just a little bit, but if there's any other topic anyone wants to bring up tonight, now is the time. And Jenny, if you had any comments on any of these things, you should be jumping in too. So if you do.
Yeah, thanks. I'm good for now. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else? Anything else you want to share? It might have something to do with what we talked tonight. It might have something completely different. Go ahead. Do you want to come back up?
Sure.
All right, back up.
Didn't get all three. Jenny, this is what popped up for you.
Oh my goodness. What?
It's very interesting. It's very obviously energetic being because it's. This would just tip back.
Is that a Pinocchio nose? Am I lying to myself?
I don't know. It's almost looks like cat ears, but there's some energy and so yeah. I'm not. I think when I say things like this, I think it's sometimes it's it might be like a non-physical being and their best way of trying to put it into a drawing space. So sometimes they come up with some human-like features. So I don't, but there's obviously some energy movement going on, and
It's fascinating.
I thought the names looked like sailboats at first. I thought it was water.
Yeah,
me too.
And then Crystal, I'm gonna guess this is something like elemental. It's where am I going? That direction. Because it looks like a furred creature, almost like a close-up on a fox face, but yet the ears are tree trunks.
Huh.
So
Wow.
I don't know. I've never drawn anything like that one.
Huh.
So,
If it's maybe it's a dryad.
yeah, could be dryad because so you can see the tops look very much like tree trunks, and then it comes in, but the fur pattern is something like you would see on a dog or a cat's face. So that's what. So anyway, that's what I've been doing.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
That's fun. Thank you. Any other topics, anyone? Or any other comments, experiences? Anything you want to share? Go ahead.
I'd like to ask Kai more about shields, just a couple of questions. There was one lady I was taught by that says when she puts her jewelry on, that to her intention, that's her shield.
Yeah, for some people you can do that. For some people it's also a protection talisman of sorts. So for instance, I used to have a bracelet that I essentially charmed to protect me, and it broke. And when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get this fixed, and another person was just like, no, dear, that means it's done its job and you need to let go of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So just wondering if a person, and this is way out there a bit, if a person got a tattoo and he said, "This is my protection." Would that work?
Yeah, but again, it has to be with that you have to be careful because like you might get a tattoo of this symbol or whatever it is, but the intention is infused in it when it's created. So the person who's actually creating the tattoo, if they're not holding that intention, that's not going to be embedded in the tattoo.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I have this with photographs. When I look at photographs of people, I'm impacted by the photographer. So, like the painter of someone, like they're painting their energy, the painter's in the painting and they're
Yeah.
sorting that out.
Yes.
What was I say also if one had a tattoo, even if it's done in a way that really has the intention, I still think there's something about refreshing the energy. Like there's a refreshing the intention, or the intention might shift and change too. And the tattoo could be created with the idea that it can be changeable, but it's still like a grounding of the protection somehow.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
seems
because
like
tattoos are powerful. Like, I mean, I've met people, they're like, look, I got a tattoo of a demon on my arm. I'm like, good
Oh.
job.
Oh,
Good luck.
That's like a
Like,
bullseye.
yeah, I was just like, no, dude, that was a bad choice, but good luck.
Oh,
person with your hand up, do you want to ask from your chair? Do you want to come up or share from your chair? Or
Oh, I can come up. That's fine.
okay, let's bring you up. All right, go ahead.
Hey, about a month or so ago, and this has happened more than once, like in that little magical hour between 1:30 and like 4 o'clock in the morning. Uh,
mhm.
I've been woken up just about every morning for a while. But this one time I had like a digital beep that came through and I ignored it because I was trying to get back to sleep. And then it went almost like in Close Encounters of what is it, the third kind, where it goes do 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 do, right? I got something similar to that, not quite that, but it was very digital. And to me that seemed more extraterrestrial in nature as opposed to like a spirit or a guide coming through.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if there was any feedback on.
Well, I think that makes sense because everybody who's kind of open spiritually is kind of just open in some sense. And so there's no reason why, you couldn't be contacted, so to speak, through, and because most things speak through frequency, it makes sense that you heard a sound. Um, Again, it's one of those things we talked about, like how did it feel? Like if it felt good, then it's fine. If it didn't feel good, then you can say no thank you,
Oh, I
right?
said no, thank you, because I was just exhausted. I just wanted to get back to sleep.
Yeah, no, and
So,
that's fine too. Like there you
yeah.
can just, I mean, for any reason at any time, like you can just like nope. Because I do the same thing. Like ghosts will come in, like, can you open the door for me? I'm like, dude, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Wait till later. I'm just like, because they have no sense of time or space. So that for them, it's like, can you just do it now? I'm like, no, human sleeping. No. So yeah, you have the right to set your boundaries on things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's as simple as technology too. Like I didn't realize it consciously, but in that hour, those times of the day, a lot of times the networks are booting up again or the cell phone or whatever. And so, making sure that, take clearing the variable that could be happening or could be contributing to of is your cell phone in off and across the room, and are you sleeping in the same room as the router? Just stuff like that that could also get you energetically connected to an electronically beep noise type of thing. It didn't solve all of it for me, but it solved at least 50% of it for me when I did that. So just checking for things like that too could be as simple as that, in part
Okay.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily that new to your abilities and stuff, but sometimes we're actually learning the language of how we are going to be working back and forth with guides and teachers and stuff like that. It's like learning a new language, and so that that beeping might have been, to me, it felt like it was like a drive-by. It was like they were trying to see if they could get your attention, but I don't even feel that energy around you anymore.
Mm.
But yeah, it's learning the whole ins and outs of what communication is, how certain things show up, and how that works, and like having whole conversations without any language, but just getting knowledge and information, but there's no language at all. It's just, and that's super hard to describe. Like, yeah. So that could have been part of it, but my sense is that, like I said, it was just a drive-by. It was kind of like, let's see what'll happen if we honk our horn right now at this person. Can we get her attention? And then it feels like maybe they'll try another way. And the other thing you could do too is, once we're done tonight stuff, you get into a meditative state, you say, okay, whoever was part of that beep, 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 do you have something you want to tell me? And just see if there's information behind that. And then if there is, you can say, I do a lot better when you don't beep at me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just show up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Normal people hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can choose your mode of communication. So like for me, I'm just like, don't speak to me through like sounds and beeps and things like that. I'm just like, Morse code, not my thing. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's like if you want to talk to me, like actually speak to me, like, or sometimes I'll wake up and I got a song in my head and I'm like, okay, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that
So
happens.
yeah, so you want to, like, you can choose like, okay, this is how I prefer you to speak to me. Sometimes I get dreams, it sometimes for instance, and I've said this before, when they want me to do something and I'm like, I don't know. What will happen is three different people will tell me the exact same thing. Like unrelated people talking about things that are completely unrelated, and somebody would be like, yeah, by the way, Kai, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So everybody's different in how they get their communication. So you can choose. So it's not always, like, okay, I got a bunch of beeps. Now I got to figure it out.
Yeah. And I have a real thing about noise. So no, that's not how they talk to me. No, beeps and clicks and whiny noise. I'd be like, no, no.
Yeah, and then sometimes you get a thing like you'll see like lights flashing and things like that. And I've requested, I'm like, unless you're trying to give me a migraine, cut that out. Like I'm not taking any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I need words. That was my request. And other people, like, they can go through sound, or they'll get like different types of ways of communicating or whatever. But yeah, so you can specify, like, that's your boundary, set it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Jenny, you look fabulous.
Thank you,
So
sweetheart.
nice to see you again.
Yeah, very nice to see you. And on this topic of, I know some of people have talked about shields, and related to what she was just saying, a few months ago, I booked a session with Kai, and it was practicing. She helped me so much because I'm on Zoom calls with clients and things all during the day, and I tend to forget sometimes, and the stuff can come across the screen. So any of you, that are dealing with that, I went to Kai, and it was a real hoot, because I would intend to put a shield around me, and she was testing. It was a great to have a third party or somebody else objective testing, pushing on my screen a little bit, real gently, and just and telling me, no, Jenny, I can feel this, or I can't feel this. And finally I got to a point during the session where it was like, no, it was rock solid. She wasn't able to, she sensed that it was intact. I won't go into all the details, but there's help out there too, if you feel like you need you need some support in learning that, because I did.
Yeah, we don't have to figure it out all on our own.
Yeah.
We practice with each other.
Yeah, we don't have to figure it out all on our own. And just in case y'all don't remember this, we have to ask for divine intervention for them to work with us, because we have free will, and they can do a certain amount of stuff, but once we say, yes, please come on board, then that's what needs to happen. Because otherwise we just walk around and think we can't ask for help, or it doesn't occur to us that we can ask for help.
And and that's the purpose of Cosmic Conversations. Like everybody here, including myself, has learned something today, not just about ourselves, but our abilities, about what's possible, about what we might think about, things that, expand our belief system just a little bit, expand your cosmology just a little bit. That was the purpose of having this conversation. So even if you didn't actually say anything, your being here has allowed your consciousness to grow, even in a small amount, that will move you forward for whatever comes next for you. So that's part of the reason why I do it.
Just made me think of one more thing. If you go to sleep with the TV on, you are now wide open, you have no filter, and
Yeah.
all that stuff that's on the TV is going straight into your unconscious. So just maybe consider white noise instead, or something else, or put a timer on it so it shuts off in 10 minutes, so that at least, just want
Or,
to
some
that
soothing
popped into my
meditation
head.
music or something like that. That might be helpful to you. Whatever works. Just so that right before you go to sleep, as your consciousness starts to go to sleep, and your subconscious mind begins to open, that you're careful about what you're putting in at that point, and same thing when you wake up or whatever. So yeah, it's just another way of caring for yourself, to making sure that you are balanced, and that you are that you are working from a good, stable place, energetically, mentally, physically. It's really important. If you're going to do this work, like, you really have to be conscious of yourself. And if you're struggling with something, then look at, and I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but I kept feeling it most of the night, is that consider starting to do your shadow work. Like, look at the stuff that you don't want to look at. Look at the stuff that you don't want to deal with, because that's the stuff that will eventually hold you back.
Yep. Change your perceptions and you'll change your reality. So when we do that shadow work, then things start to shift. And that's key to everything, because everything is based on thought. So if you have that old stuff constantly going on the hamster wheel and overwhelming you, and anxiety and stuff, that's what you're going to create from. So when you can create from a clearer place, or a place of discernment, then you, number one, you're now more conscious with your intent. And so you're going to create a different kind of reality. When we're triggered and we're responding from past trauma or past programming, then we're not in the present anymore. We're being pulled backwards. And so that's a great, not always pleasant, but that's a great growth opportunity, if that's happening, like Kai just said, to like, uh-oh, that's a hot potato and I need to look at that.
And I don't know how to, so before we bring up Michelle, something else to share. Someone shared in the chat, and I don't know how to pronounce this. Kai, do you know what this is? Chokure, is it?
Yeah,
The
that's
symbol?
a Reiki symbol.
Okay. So someone's been drawing a Reiki symbol on the surfaces of their bedroom before sleep as a
And
shield.
that's why I just put, yeah, that's great. That works.
Great.
I
Cool.
mean, sometimes you have to draw a lot of them, but yeah, that works.
Great. And then Michelle, did you want to come up again?
Yeah, on the same topic, I was just gonna, like we were talking about throwing the layman's perspective. I was, again, it's once you're knowledgeable and you're aware of your, beloved guides and stuff, and use them, because they usually, and don't get me wrong, yes, a lot of my guides are my higher self, and technically everything is, we're all the same and all that, but so it's just, don't let the terminology get in the way. I talk to my higher self, my guides, whatever, but ones that I've established a relationship with. So as I had mentioned earlier, that I said, Swisha, please deal with the crowd control. I was talking to one of my guys, please handle the crowd control and keep this quiet. and as we built our relationship, because I realize they're not all knowing either. They have to get to know us, and we have to get to know them, and that works better the more that you interact with them. And because I don't hear as easily or know, I'm still learning what I know. I get blessed. I ask for feedback. So if you ask them, please do this for me. And if you don't know that they heard you, you can say, and while you're at it, please give me some, validation or affirmation or some information to let me know this is happening. And, when I had within 2 days of asking this, making this statement, I was at an amazing doctor / energy worker / friend / and at the end of our session, he does all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the session, I said, "Hey, will you just check my chakras while we're at it?" And he looked at me, and he's funny. He looked at me, and then he went, "Oh, hang on." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I ran into a door," and he said, "I had to ask security if I could come in and then state my intention before I could get in." So, and he was making the funny things about the, electronic door opening to let him in. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's fantastic." So, the guides did what I asked, even in a bigger, better fashion. And within, I think it was that evening, I was on the MeWe thing working with Maria, and she had said something about there's somebody here to speak to you, and I thought she was going to talk to me, and because I'm like, I don't know what they're saying, but then I was like, oh, okay, wait, I get it now. I need to see who's here, and I let them come through in light language, and then she usually interprets what they're saying. But one of the first things she said was they had to get through the gatekeeper, and I'm gatekeeper. I'm like, oh, another word for security or crowd control. So I had two confirmations in 24 hours or 48 hours that said, "You asked, we heard you, good job." And I was like, this is awesome. So be clear in your communication, ask for help, trust that it's going to be there, and then ask for confirmation, and then fun stuff happens.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, you're getting some nodding. All right, great. Well, we might be winding ourselves down to the end of the event. I do want to mention that we have more of these scheduled. They're coming up again on July 19, August 2, and September 13. And those are all Sundays from 5 to 7 Pacific time. All right. Well, shall we go around and do our outros again? Should we start with you, Kai?
Sure. So, hey everybody, I'm Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna, which is the Hawaiian version of a shaman. And from what you've heard me do or talk about tonight, it's like you can tell what I normally mess around with in terms of spiritual ability. My specialty is removing negative energy from people, places, and things. And I do specialize also in energy shields, which is why I teach people how to do them, and I can test them. And they're important too, because if you're an energy worker, like you're an energy healer, sometimes you'll come across people who actually have shields and they don't even realize that they're there. And so in order to help them, you have to be able to understand how shields work so that you can get past the shield or help the person to lower the shield so that you can actually help them. So shields serve lots of functions and they do lots of things. So that's one of the things that I'm most interested in and that I often do teach about. But thank you everyone for coming tonight. Hopefully you all learned something, you were able to share something, we were able to expand you in some way, because I know I've learned a whole bunch from Jenny being here. Because, usually when Jenny and I talk, it's like more like just a regular session between the two of us, so we don't actually get to talk about her specialties. So I'm glad that we got an opportunity to do this. So thank you, Jenny, for coming. And yeah, I'm glad that you guys decided to come in and spend your Sunday with us. So I very much appreciate that. So I want you to understand that you're appreciated for the time that you've spent with us. So thank you for coming.
And Kai, tell us, what is your website and what are the kinds of things people can find on your website?
It is handsonfire.buzz. On there, I have lots and lots of articles about different types of metaphysical stuff, shadow work, all the stuff I'm working with, ancestors, all that stuff is on there. And yeah, there's a few that are in audio, so you can listen to them if you want to. You can check out some of the past YouTube things that I've done, little interviews of things. But yeah, and then, find out
And
more
you have
about
some
me and what I do.
books.
Oh,
And there's some books.
yes, and there are books on Amazon, and there's a page on my website that you can take a look at all my books that are there. The When Things Go Bump in the Night and my books on shadow work are there as well.
Thanks, Kai. Appreciate you being part of this conversation and helping make it happen, bringing it all up. And Crystal, the other person that made this all happen in the beginning.
Well, hello everyone. As gonna just kind of ditto off of Kai, you listen to different stuff I've had to say this evening, so it gives you a sense of the work that I do. My name's Crystal Novak. Psychic reader, intuitive, come from a place of knowingness. The name of my website is iknowstuff.me, because literally that's the easiest way to explain it, is I know stuff. Or you can also reach me by email at crystal@iknowstuff.me. I've written a book and it's published. It's basically about spirit having a human experience and what does it mean to be here in this encounter suit and what happens. If you're interested, you can go to Amazon, and it's called Remembering Who You Are. I think Laureli has the link over here on the chat. But you can read a free sample on the side, and I believe it's the first 5 chapters of the book. So that's like a Costco sampler. If you're curious, you can go check it out, and if it hits your taste buds right, you can go ahead and get the book. Again, thank you as well for everyone to show up tonight and all the great questions and talking about another new subject that we haven't really explored a lot before. So thank you, Jenny, for coming on here and joining us and sharing your experiences and what you have learned. Really interesting. And hopefully you all in the audience will share about this with other people. And Laurel, I might have already said this, but this is going to show up on YouTube. MeWe has a YouTube site. So this Cosmic Conversation will post there probably in the next couple days. You can also see previous Cosmic Conversations on there, as well as interviews with Laurel and other practitioners and stuff. So, and it's all free, bonus. So hopefully we'll get to see you again on the next one. So thank you.
Great. And I don't think you mentioned during the outro, you also have an ongoing study group, right? That means once a week.
Oh, yeah. I have a meditation study group that's called The Path of Light. We meet every Thursday evening on Zoom at 5 p.m. It's a subscription. And it's a lot of, some of it's a lot of it's like what's in my book, but we also are working on building a relationship. Currently, we're working on building a relationship with our chakra systems. They have awareness and sentience, consciousness of their own. And so we're introducing ourselves to them, asking how we can support them, breathing them. We're going to start doing more sounding work. So if you're curious about that, you can find that information about that on my website, which is www.iknowstuff.me. Thank you, Laureli, for reminding me.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. I can remember other people's things. I sometimes don't think of my own. It's great. Why we're all together. And Jenny.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Jenny Capella, and I'm with Miracles with Jenny. And you can reach me at www.miracleswithjenny.com. And also my email is miracleswithjenny@gmail.com. And right now, and Laurel, I'm sorry I didn't tell you the deadline on this, but if you, I'm having a special that's not really on my site or my Etsy store. It's $75 for a session, and that's about half off on a very particular kind of session that I have, which really goes deep with people in terms of processing whatever something it is that's going on in their life. Intuitive. I mean, I'm an intuitive life and crisis transitions coach. And also, again, I think I mentioned this earlier at the beginning, but if you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if those voices are ETs, and if so, how can I talk to them? I love, love, love interviewing people and interviewing whoever's around them. And I always can get a sense of if there's mischief going on, or if it's an actual, group of ETs, whatever that want to, or guides, whatever that want to come through. So that's something that I'm featuring more and more, is just hanging out with people and asking questions intuitively and seeing what comes through. Because sometimes it's hard for us when we're learning to channel information or bring it through to even know, gosh, what about this? Is that right? And our heads get in the way. So if I'm playing the role of the interviewer, that kind of takes that piece out of it, and you can just kind of not have to have your attention on that part. So thank you very much for being here, everybody.
It's great to be here with you. And when does your special expire?
Thank you. That's the second time I didn't tell you. The end of the month. God.
All right.
Okay.
Good through June. All right. Good through June 2026. And I'm going to put it in the chat again. All right, great. And so you do different types of sessions, and it's good for all the different sessions that you do. So for the most
what I recommend is, because
off.
it's not as obvious on my website which one this particular special goes with, send me an email at miracleswithjenny@gmail.com and just say, I was at the Cosmic Conversations. I want to take advantage of your $75 for 1 hour session. And then we'll just, work out what the topic will be. That'll be the easiest way to do it with this particular special.
It's great. And I've got your other email in here too, because I thought that's when we talked about it earlier.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's
they're
fine
both
too.
there.
Yeah.
Great. All right, cool. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, and you can learn more about my work at intuitiveeyereading.com. You can learn about the archetypes that I use for reading in people's eyes at thrivetypes.com. You can learn about all the events at MeWe Fairs at MeWeFairs.com. I have a book. I have a recorded class on how to read eyes. I'm available for private sessions. And you can have a special of $125 an hour for your first session with me. It's $50 off an hour. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes actually. And you send me photos. I talk about all the stuff during the session, and yeah, happy to work with you. Be on anything you want. And it's been exciting being all together here again for Cosmic Conversations. It's been fun having you as a guest, Jenny. Great being all together again. It's fun for all of us to talk about all these new things. It's great having all of you here. Thank you for the participation and questions from everyone in the audience. And we're looking forward to doing this again soon. I'm going to turn off the recording. If I can figure out how.